it's Lacey. I just wanted to make a quick little video. So I've got my headphones in. They're very impromptu, and it's gonna be like low-key. Hopefully I found a quiet spot to sit and talk about this. Sorry, I'm getting over a sickness actually. Yep, totally didn't find a quiet spot. Fuck it, I'm just gonna do this anyway. So, the other day I wrote a Medium post that I haven't written on Medium in a while, but I wrote a Medium post about some struggles I've been facing for several years, but have only half looked at with honesty. So I do suffer from depression, from anxiety, along with a lot of my other contemporaries I know, and an eating disorder. And I have dealt with the eating disorder for about 7 years. I'd say the depression and anxiety probably came along with that. Anxiety I think I've suffered from since I was very young and just didn't realize what it was I was dealing with. But this eating disorder that I still have a hard time talking about has been very present for 7 years. So this eating disorder I've been dealing with for several years has manifested itself through various forms. It has mostly been through restriction, through overexercising. Occasionally it would result in binging and purging, but that was less frequent for me because it's uncomfortable. Not that any of this is comfortable, but yeah, so I've been in relationships where the person has known about this. Some people have completely refused to deal with it whatsoever, and those relationships didn't last very long. One was, I think, trying to help, and he did help in a lot of ways. Eventually, if I don't own up to it, then how much can someone else help me? And then this current relationship I'm in, I finally was just okay, I gotta own up to this, or I'm going to sabotage myself, our relationship, like I've done to so many others before me. Yeah, so I went to my therapist yesterday on my day off, and I brought my boyfriend with me for support, because often I will go into my therapist especially and just downplay things, and I do that in most of my life, but also with my therapist. Sorry, someone's getting in the car. They're doing gardening. So Mark came with me, and he was able to give his side of the story to an extent, and I was able to mostly give my side of the story. And she asked for my history, so I kind of gave her a rundown of everything. And the gym is a no-no for now. I'm not overweight, I'm not underweight. I am physically, I look very healthy, but mentally not so much. As you may have noticed by following any of my YouTube videos, I've eaten vegan for about 3.5 years, but rarely has it ever been just vegan, just eating vegan for the sake of the animals. I've been on various sects of the vegan diet, which are used to control my body. So that may be high carb, low fat, it may be raw, it may be, I don't know, raw till 4. Could be just intermittent fasting. When I was lifting weights, I was doing kind of the macro diet, but also limiting my intake. I mean, to an extent, I was still eating quite a bit, but I would wear my Fitbit and I would go to the gym, and then I would go to work at the end of the day when I was waitressing, and we'd have really busy nights, and I would burn 2,500 calories in a day, which is kind of a lot for my size. I'm 5'1", but I would probably only eat 1,600 calories, so that's a huge deficit. That's not a sustainable deficit. And I was gaining weight, I was putting on muscle, fine, but that's just not sustainable. So, most of you don't know this, but I got pregnant earlier this year, and I'm not sure that I'm ready to really talk about that yet. But that was probably like the biggest wake up call for me, because I finally like had more than myself to take care of. So I was just eating kind of whatever I wanted. I started eating more vegetarian, so I was having like eggs and cheese because I was totally unprepared for the pregnancy. And so I was not prepared for like exactly how hungry I would be. And eating a vegan diet when you're ill prepared usually doesn't work so well. That was probably one of the few times in the past 7 years that I haven't eaten to control my body size. And I gained weight. Well, actually, I didn't really gain weight, but I started like putting fat on in different ways, and it was very uncomfortable, but it was worth it. And then I miscarried, and that was heartbreaking. And after that procedure, I was like, well, because I had the procedure to expel the remains. After that procedure, I was like, okay, well, I'm not pregnant. I don't plan on being pregnant again for a while, so I'm gonna get like hot, like just gonna focus in on it. But I was working at my 8 to 5 job that I had started in May, right before I found out I was pregnant, and it was really hard to like go to the gym. So I just have slowly started eating less, and I will take walks during the day and blah, 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 blah. But basically food is always on my mind, always on my mind. And that has never changed in the past 7 years, whether I have eaten ketogenic, paleo, vegan, raw vegan, high carb, low fat vegan, it's vegetarian, like whatever. I've always tried to control the shape of my body. And that was a realization I had recently, that I've never just like let my body be. Like, I mean, I have, but it's been a long time. It's been 7 years. I have this like fear that if I just eat whatever I want, then I'm gonna get fat. And I'm starting to realize that maybe that's not true, because I know how to eat healthy. I eat healthy 95% of the time, probably. I know how to eat healthy. Like, my body will learn how to regulate those things. I don't have to ignore my hunger. I can eat candy sometimes if I want to. I got into this mindset where if I ate anything with like chemicals or anything that wasn't like organic and vegan and like made from better ingredients, then somehow I was like actively declining my own health. And that, oh, I may not live to 100 years old if I eat these Sour Patch Kids, which I love. I just like was convinced that anything I ate that wasn't like of the highest like health value would lead to declining health in myself. That being said, I have been sick for the past 5 or 6 days. I was finally forced to basically just like sit on my ass on the couch and watch television or YouTube or whatever, and like sleep in and snuggle my cats. And I had requested off for Samhain and November 1st, and I was just sick both those days. So I like went and ran one errand on the 31st, and then I was like, what am I doing? Like, I had this like whole idea of like, oh, I want to do these Halloween things, and like I want to do some work on my altar, and I want to do like I did do one like ceremony, but I just like was like, oh, I have to do these things. I tell myself that all the time. Oh, I have to. And no, I don't have to. And the deity that I feel most attached to, she just wants me to take care of myself. So I'm just learning how it is. Like, if I keep talking about wanting to be a goddess and knowing the goddess resides in me and that I am goddess, then why am I destroying myself? Why am I trying so hard to fit myself into this mold that isn't me? I was just listening to a Kyla Prinz podcast, and she was talking about like clothes and how important they are, and how we do outgrow certain styles in clothing, and you can't just try and fit into that like style that you were in high school, basically, for example. And sometimes I do that, and I try to put myself like in my 16-year-old body, I'm like, I think about how I looked at 16 and I'm like, oh, that was like, I looked so fucking good. And like when I tried on my prom dress a few years ago when I was like in my lowest, like worst state and I was at my lowest weight, I fit into that prom dress and it was even big. And I was like, oh my God, like, yes, I'm like, why was that something I wanted to do? Go back to being a 16-year-old me? Like going back to feeling oppressed and stuck in this religion that I have no connection with? Like, that's ridiculous. I wouldn't ever want any of the other things that went along with being 16-year-old me, so why would I want that body? This is an ongoing process, and this is an ongoing conversation I'm having with myself, so I'm sure we'll talk more, but I'm working on it. I am working on it, and I'm learning that my body actually is going to take care of me, and if I put on weight, that's fine. I have this like idea that the moment I start to choose recovery, I'm just going to get fat. Like I'm just going to put on weight and get really chubby. And part of me like wants that in some way because it's a challenge. But I know that the moment I get anywhere near where I think is chubby, which is already where I am, that is when I'm going to relapse. And I can't do that again, which is why I'm getting help. And why I'm actively working on changing how my brain works and actively working on like how I speak to myself and how I treat myself. I was thinking about this the other day, and just roll with me on this, but I got to thinking, if I were the servant of the goddess, would I be like telling her, no, you can't eat this, or no, you have to go work out first, or okay, well, you ate your food at your desk, so now you're gonna go walk for an hour during your lunch break, or oh, you're hungry, you want something just sweet? No, you can't have that. You can go have some dates. Like, dates are great. I love them. But, like, no, I would never do that. I'd be like, fuck yeah. Like, do what you want. Like, treat yourself. Take a bath. Put salts in it, oils in it. Put crystals around yourself. Like, listen to good music. Get down. Like, lay on the couch in the lounge. Like, that's what I wouldn't tell anyone besides myself to do the things I tell myself. So that was, like, a big realization to me. And then to know that I have support and I will be seeing a therapist every week and not limiting my diet anymore. Like, yes, I still eat vegan, at least for now, because that's what I believe in. But if I am endangering my own health, that's like, oh my gosh, my leg is shaking. That's defeating my purpose as well. So we're just going to take this one step at a time. It's going to be a journey. And if you care to join, you're welcome to. I am not going to try and tell anyone like this is what you should do, or this is the right thing to do, or you should eat this way, or do this, or do whatever. Like, I don't even know for myself. I don't know how to treat myself. So I'm not going to tell anyone else how to treat themselves except the best they possibly can and the best they know how. And if you don't know how, I encourage you to like learn and like teach yourself and find people who will support you and who will help teach you and who have your back. And then if you want to lay on the couch and you want to eat candy and watch horror films, you can do that. And if you want to take a bath and you want to watch Gossip Girl and read trashy novels, you can do that. And like, you don't have to go to the gym and you don't have to like eat clean all the time. Like, you don't need that. You don't need that. So this is a message to me as well as to anyone who might be listening. And if you want to stick around, please do. And I will be back. Bye.